Hello and welcome back to the Desert Rat Racing League here at Brands Hatch today. We're going to have 5 racers on track, and let's go ahead and get started. Currently we're looking at myself in the number 10 orange car. We're going to go ahead and get started here with the cockpit cam, see how the takeoff begins. And everybody's getting a decent turn into the first turn. Creature and Ott falling behind just a little bit while Carlos and Zane take ahead. Going for the inside line myself while they go for a little bit of a wider line. I'm trying to keep the two behind me where they are, right behind me. Let's go ahead and take it to the trackside camera now. And we'll go ahead and follow Carlos up in the front. Currently leading our competition with many points, hasn't lost first place yet. Truly showing a dominating force in this league. But Zane definitely has given him a challenge today at Brands Hatch, able to overtake him down the stretch. Here we go into a fast right-hander. Let's see how they handle themselves. Around the bend they go, and Carlos slides up to go towards the inside. Will he get the overtake? He will. He slides on in, overtaking Zane for that first position again. I'm not too far behind myself, staying right behind Zane in the trail. And here we go into the tight right-hander. Let's see how we eat the curb here. There we go. Everybody's shifting down to that third gear to take this last turn before we get up to the straight. Here they come into the final corner. Carlos keeping a good lead ahead of Zane, but a very small one at the same time. The gap staying less than a second between the top three. Let's go ahead and take a follow with Zane now on track. We'll go ahead and jump into his car. He sets up to overtake, but Carlos goes defensive, making Zane rethink his decision, pushing him to the outside now. It's definitely compromises Zane's line, but he's not holding back. He keeps on the pedal and slides behind Carlos, getting a little bit of oversteer in front of him, but keeps a hold of the lead for now. Meanwhile, I'm following not too far behind myself. The defense from Carlos going hard against Zane, making sure he doesn't overtake again going into this straight. Let's go back to the trackside camera now. So far in the opening few laps, the gap is staying nice and tight, only about 3 seconds between the pack entirely. That's what we like to see, some good tight racing. Creature going a little wide in that turn back there. I take it a little tight into this turn here, but staying on Zane's tail nonetheless. You can definitely abuse the curbs on this track. The track limits, as you can see right there, don't take too heavily when riding in the dirt a little bit, but that makes some of these turns nice and easy to go right over. And here we go back down towards the last turn. Oop, our camera person getting a little silly here. Here they come down the straight. Carlos still holding a solid lead now, building up his gap by about half a second, putting me about 1 second behind the two of them. And here we go. Let's go back to the cockpit here. Zane following behind nicely. Here we are. Let's go ahead and see that chase cam, see the positioning of the cars nicely. The trick for Carlos is once he pulls away, he's able to gap himself very well, so it's Zane's goal to stay on him as much as possible to keep that pressure on him, so he can't take optimal lines the whole race. And in the back, we're falling behind just a little bit by about 1.5 seconds now, but not quite giving up the gap. We still have about an average of 3 seconds across the board, with Creature falling behind just a little bit. Here we go into the fast right-hander. Let's see how they come out. Will Zane be able to get the chase? He doesn't. He goes ahead and keeps his line so he can set up to follow again. And into the dirt, compromising his line just a little bit. Will I be able to take advantage of it? We'll see. And here we go, setting up into the last 2 turns of the track here. Carlos is starting to build that gap, now putting a second on Zane, almost twice the distance that he was in the last lap. But Zane gets a good exit into the last turn, is able to reduce the gap back down to 1 second or less. Here we go down into the downhill. Let's see how we go ahead and get into the second gear turn. Zane hugging the curb nicely, making sure not to compromise that line, but still going off into the dirt just a little bit. Seems he's starting to feel the pressure for me as I go up to go right up alongside him. Will I be able to go around the outside? Ooh, a little bit of oversteer coming from me, which makes me lose a little bit of speed, but I'm still staying on Zane. Will I be able to get him in the straight? Just join me on the cockpit. And here we go. He's not giving me any space, making sure that I have to take as light a line as possible. But with that, I'm going to go ahead and get behind him. And I realize we need to catch up to Carlos, so I give him a little push. Shake and bake. Let's go. Carlos still maintaining just about a second in front of us, almost 1.3. But it changes every single turn. Ooh, but Zane loses it and unfortunately pulls it back into myself, making us both lose our line. I'm able to get myself back on track, but Zane somehow recovers faster than I do, going for the overtake here and taking back second place. I don't know how he managed to come back, but that was crazy. And I'm going to get a little aggressive after that crash and slide up onto his inside so that I can set up for the next turn in the downhill. Here we go with the chase down the straight. And I make sure to push myself as far as I can not to give him that space. That way I have the optimal line and he doesn't. And you can see him in that rear view mirror over here. Gets a little aggressive and hits the back of me, unfortunately. And with that, he manages to overtake once more. But at this point, it's shoulders out. We're not holding it back anymore. Carlos is ahead by 6 seconds, so he's no longer our problem. We're each other's problem. And here we go into the straight. Let's see how Zane takes it. Does he get a good exit? And there he goes. He's able to slingshot past me, so I'm going to file up behind him. Ott is right on my tail, though, and goes for the overtake on the inside, but not quite making the gap on the brakes. Let's go ahead and go back to following myself back in that cockpit cam again. Zane is off the track, allowing me to overtake, and now we're back into that second position. So now it's all about gaining our own gap the same way Carlos has. As you can see there, I'm definitely eating that dirt as much as possible to keep the defensive line and not give them any opportunity. And here we go into the final turn, back down the straight. We're about halfway through the race now. Can hear those tires holding on just about as much as they can. And here we go into the downhill. Let's see what happens. Zane going for the dive again. I'm going to let it through, but I'm going to keep my speed on that outside as much as possible. That way I stay ahead of Ott there. Creature doing a good job to just maintain behind us, not losing his gap either. A little bit of oversteer, call it some Tokyo Drift. Let's go. And down in the straight towards the fast right-hander. Let's see how we handle it. A little bit of oversteer coming from myself, but it gives me the chase I need on him. But not quite ready for the overtake till he goes off into the dirt once again. Just making a small mistake there, costing him that position twice in a row. Oop, where'd our track go? So here we are entering the final turn. Meanwhile, Carlos is already down the straight. Our camera crew is definitely having a little bit of issues here. And into the downhill we go. I have a decent gap from Zane right now. And a little bit of oversteer, but keeping the speed out of the turn. These cars are definitely known for their trail braking. They can kick out that rear end really nicely, just like that. But you have to be careful to make sure the grip stays down as well. And here we are into the straight again. Let's see where we're at. Ott is staying right on the rear end of Zane. Let's go ahead and see that. We'll follow Zane for a minute here. Nice smooth turn into the exit. Here he comes. He's going on the chase. Gapping just a little bit away from Ott again, making sure he has that space. Still ending up in the dirt just a tiny bit though. He definitely needs to get that under control. Otherwise he'll keep losing precious seconds to that gap ahead. And oh no, I take myself out. The oversteer finally getting to me, unfortunately. Sparks flying. And Zane takes the second place now, flying out into the last turn and down the straight. Just a couple of scrapes here and there. Still surviving. And as you can see, he's got a pretty healthy gap now to Ott in the back. But almost going off the track there in the downhill. And we'll go ahead and take a look where Carlos is now with us heading into that third gear turn. Carlos is already heading down the straight, gaining massive speed. And now the gap in the field is a little bit bigger between the drivers, but that doesn't mean it's going to be the end of the race just yet. You never know what's going to happen. Ott quickly and getting right behind Zane could happen. Somebody could take themselves out. That is the nature of racing. And here we go into that tight two turns up ahead. Let's see how they take it over the dirt. Here he comes. Keeping it nice to the curb. Oop. Technical difficulties. We'll be right back. Alright, and we're back. And once again, like we said, Zane taking the curb nicely. Ott following behind him. Followed by Creature. Followed by myself. Just finally making it in that turn. No oversteer this time on the exit, so we're back to racing. Oop, where's our drivers? Here they are. And here we have Zane coming down the main straight, keeping a healthy gap between himself and Ott now. Carlos already heading into the next straight before he gets to the... Oh, I don't know where my words just went there. Anyways, back to Zane. Seems like he's slowed down his pace just a little bit to keep it safe. He knows he has control of this second place position for now. Doesn't want to do anything silly and ruin his race now. And Ott has been keeping a clean race this whole time. Maybe not quite the pace, but his consistency is keeping him on the tail of Zane. And here they come into the fast right-hander. How will they handle the exit? Seems like Ott used just a little bit more of the full track to keep his speed up. And here we go into the final straight once again. Into the downhill, let's see how we handle ourselves. Those tires should be starting to go, and another technical difficulty. Alright, and we're back again. Go ahead and head back down here into the final straight. Following Ott here, let's go ahead and see how things turn out. Ott getting a little bit of a slow exit there, but he's still keeping up with Zane. Not quite getting away from him yet. They're going to go ahead and head into the next straight. Let's see where Carlos is ahead of them. He's already about to be entering the right-hander. There he goes. And here comes Zane and Ott down the straight now. Zane eating a little bit of the dirt there, but still keeping it on the track. Here we go into that tight right-hander. Let's see how he does. Eats the dirt and unfortunately ends up spinning and oversteering. Not a fortunate way to end your final lap. That'll unfortunately be the end of Zane's race right there. Not able to recover with only 30 seconds left. But we have Carlos, who's already finished his race up in the front. Ott coming down the main straight to finish his race. There he goes. Followed by Creature. Followed by Raccoon. Followed by Zane. And that will be it for our for our race today at Brands Hatch. Carlos having a dominating lead, able to pull away once again and just destroy the field. Myself coming back from a pretty nasty oversteer into third. Or I'm sorry, I took fourth, I believe. Game already got all messy there. Yeah, fourth. Creature finishing a solid third after being in the back of the pack the whole time. And yeah, Zane just unfortunately being towards the back end after that crash in the last two turns. But thank you for joining us, and hope to see you again next time.